Ladies and gentlemen, I have just been telling you in my previous speech about the Galapagos Islands, an archipelago which belongs to the Republic of Ecuador. Now I would like to continue along similar lines, but this time I would like to tell you more about the country of Ecuador itself. The President of Ecuador is Rafael Correa, a leader with socialist leanings. He has been in power since 2007. As I am sure you are aware, he was a staunch ally of Hugo Chavez while Chavez was still alive. President Correa often strives to support the Venezuelan government, and it does this through the ALBA alliance. This often involves opposing Western governments, and particularly the government of the United States. As well as supporting the Venezuelan government, President Correa has strong allegiances with the governments of Bolivia and Cuba. And, in a similar way to most of his allies, Correa has made attempts to prolong his time in power. Like Chavez, Rafael Correa modified his country's constitution in his own favor, in order to allow himself more time as the leader of his country. Also, in a similar way to Chavez, he has sought to ratchet up control over the media. The Ecuadorian president has done this by expropriating private media outlets, and at the same time he has been promoting government-owned media. Another reason why you may have heard about Rafael Correa in the news is because he declared in 2008 that Ecuador would default on its national debt. He announced that this debt had been created by previous governments which were corrupt and despotic. Although he was widely criticized for this, he fought Ecuador's creditors in international courts. This increased his popularity among the population. Other reasons which explain Correa's popularity are the fact that he has managed to reduce high levels of poverty and unemployment. However, he is by no means loved by everyone in Ecuador. In September 2010, the Ecuadorian police forces went on strike. This led to a serious crisis. There was an attempted coup d'etat during which President Correa was kidnapped. The crisis was eventually resolved, but Correa's public image was significantly damaged. So, now I've spoken to you about the politics of Ecuador, and I've spoken to you about the country in general, but what about the main cities in the country? Well, the largest of them is Guayaquil, which is on the Pacific coast. The capital, however, is Quito. Quito stands at an altitude of 2,800 meters above sea level, so it's very high up, and if you go and visit there you run the risk of suffering from altitude sickness. Quito is very popular with tourists. It has a beautiful old town which you can walk through and visit all of the all of the old buildings from the colonial times when the Spanish were in Ecuador. You can also go up the teleférico, or the cable car, and you can visit the top of the nearby volcano. Quito lies on the Andes mountain range, and that's why it is at such a high altitude. Quito is also popular among those who want to learn Spanish, because it is said that the accent of the region is not too difficult and people don't speak too fast. So if you're thinking about learning Spanish, then you may want to go and visit. And I just mentioned the old town, and as a matter of fact, the whole of Quito, or the city of Quito, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is because of how well the old town has been preserved since colonial times. If you go to Quito, you can also visit the equator, and of course Ecuador bears its name as a country because it lies very close to the equator. The forces, the physical forces at play in that area are very unique, and gravity is almost different to in other parts of the world. So, for example, you can balance an egg on a nail, balancing the egg upright, vertically. You can also you can step from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere, and you can watch water swirling in one direction on one side of the equator, and then you can lift the basin over to the other side of the equator and see it swirling in the opposite direction. So there are many great things to go and see in Ecuador, in Quito, in Guayaquil, and in the Galapagos Islands. However, there is one thing I'd like to warn you about. Violent crime has been on the rise in recent years in Ecuador, particularly in the main cities in Quito and Guayaquil. So I would warn you that if you go out there, to take all the precautions that you can. I myself was victim of this crime, and so that's why I'm giving you the warning. Thank you.